I'm Laura A. Grace, and I am a manga writer and a manga reviewer for Beneath the Tangles. I'm super duper excited that you're here. As you guys might have seen on this YouTube channel recently, I have been doing a few videos with Beneath the Tangles, and it has been amazing, if I might add. And it first started off with a manga shopping video, and I chose two different manga titles that fit the theme of fantasy with adventure. I recently reviewed Prince Freya Volume 1, which was a really interesting story, and I'm super excited for the second volume because it's definitely just as interesting as that one was, but in a different way. And if you're curious about what that book is, or that manga is, I should say, it is Fairy Tale Battle Royale. Look how pretty this cover is. It is a dark fantasy, so there's definitely some not very pretty things happening on in the background behind our main character. But I totally confess that I really love our main character here so much on this cover. It was one of the things that first drew me in, though, to be honest, when I first heard about this, it was a recommendation from a good friend of mine, and I picked it up like way earlier this year, but I didn't review it or anything like that. And so I'm really excited to finally be sharing my thoughts after rereading it just here recently, because this is a great, clean, dark fantasy that sounds almost like an oxymoron, but it's not, for those who are just like, don't like horror or gruesome, but do like that little, like, where you feel a little paranoid a little bit, or maybe that's just me, because I am a huge chicken. But before I keep rambling, let me tell you what this story is about. So our main girl here, her name is Kuni Naka. She is a 9th grader, and she has been pretty severely bullied. And so at the beginning, you're seeing her get bullied, and something happens, and suddenly she has this contract before her that says that she can make a wish, but sort of what she doesn't realize, in exchange, she has to become Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Well, she ends up signing this, and she gets taken to Alice in Wonderland, but things are a lot darker than like she ever imagined, because she is obsessed with Alice in Wonderland. Like, reading is her escape. So she like knows the story of Alice so well that she could just write it down, because it's just the best story for her, and she loves the main characters. So she's pretty heartbroken when she comes to this fairy tale world, and Alice is not who she was or is. So now that she's in this world, she's trying to find answers of what has happened to these fairy tales, but in the process, she has to make sure that she doesn't sort of get killed or die or anything like that. And so begins this adventure of Volume 1. Now, I will say that when I started this manga, I came in with some pretty high expectations, because I do not like being afraid. I don't like horror. I don't like gruesome stuff. And I confess that I sort of thought that we have a little bit of that, but no, don't let like the background here or even the back here fool you. It's not gruesome. It's not gruesome. And I wouldn't necessarily even say that this is horror. It has some creepy elements. Yes, I did read it when it was not nighttime. So, but that's just me. But it was very good. It was really clean, and I sort of actually, I don't want to say horror elements, but I did like those elements, because this fairy tale world is so creative, and like you really don't know what is going on. And as the story progresses, you see that like maybe that this fairy tale world is not necessarily bad. Like, why have these things been happening? And what is the reasoning behind it? It's really good. I love that almost mystery element, because like I said, you don't really know why this is happening. Our main girl here though, Kuni Naka, I love her. I love her. And like, I will say props to the mangaka, because when you start the manga, like you have such, or at least I did, I should say, I had such strong empathy for our main character. Like, the bullies are awful. Like, I was so angry at them, and like, they just need to go. They just need to go. But there is an excellent plot twist with those bullies. I can't say anything about it, but it leaves you with conflicted feelings, is all I'll say. And our main girl does actually mention that a few times in the manga, because I'll say just because of the contract and things that happen, that things change. And so You definitely, yes, I definitely felt some very conflicted feelings on with these bullies and with these girls, because when you meet them, they are so rude and they are so mean, and like they have no remorse for their actions at all, and they definitely should. Now, Kuninaka meets a male character who I love so much. He is just an amazing character in this story. His name is Noah, and he is just like sunshine on page. No, he's not quite like Hinata, as I call my sunshine, but he brings a just lightness and just sunshine to this story, because it's not super heavy, but it is, I mean, it is dark because it's a dark fairy tale. So there is that darker sense of, I'm not gonna say gloom and doom, but necessarily like sunshine and rainbows. So I loved when we meet Noah. He is just an amazing character, and he is so incredibly sweet. Like, Kuninaka needs him in her life in this world because she really just needs a friend. And what better friend to have than precious Noah? Oh, I really, really liked him, and I wish we could have more of him on page. And he presents some information to our main girl here about this fantasy world that you're sort of like, what does this mean? Like, is this not as odd as it sounds for them? It makes me want to pick up book 2 ASAP, because, like, what happens next? What happens next? Like, I need to know what happens next. And I did see on the cover of volume 2 is our precious Noah. And I'm like, yes, because Noah, he's probably one of like I feel like my favorite side characters, because he's just, like I said, he's just such a sweet, sweet character. The story itself is extremely engaging. Like, I love the word building that takes place, and just, I don't know, I felt like I read this manga really fast because I was completely hooked, and the artwork is absolutely gorgeous. Like, I wanted to definitely spotlight, like, I love this opening. It's behind the cover here of just Alice in Wonderland, and you have this colored, and I will say, these colored pages, you only have one. Okay, sorry guys, my camera cut off on me, so sorry about that. So, but as I was saying, the colored pages at the beginning, there's only 2, but I love them. They are amazing. I feel it is a great, like, hook, line, and sinker to get readers interested. It says, fairy tales, everyone has dreamed about them at some point in their lives. They've been handed down from generation to generation since the dawn of time. Now, I want to show you something with this, because, you know, that sounds really nice. I say lovey-dovey, it's not, but it sounds really nice, right? But then when you look here at the bottom, look, the book is cracking. Not normal, am I right? That is not normal. And this is a really great colored page as well. It is so good. Like, that's what I'm saying. The art is so really good. Trying to see if we can find a non-spoiler page here. Here we go. I can show you this brief little page. I gotta cover up this side. But here is Noah. Look at him. And there's our main girl at the top, and that is when they were in the story world. And another fun little thing, I love when manga has extras. Like, I think it's just really fun and adds like just a special little bonus to the manga. And this one does have some extras here. Talks a little bit about the characters and gives some art. And it has 2 extra little bonus chapters, I guess, that were really fun. I really like those. It added a little bit of a light humor to the story, which was nice to sort of have that like relaxing breath, I guess you would say, after the intensity of the ending and finding out new things, but you're not finding out fully what those new things mean because you have to pick up volume 2, of course. I would still say that this is a really clean manga. I forgot how much I enjoyed it. Like, I felt like the second time that I read it, I enjoyed it even more. And I definitely was prepared for when those moments came on and you see those fairy tale creatures. I was prepared. So I didn't feel quite as nervous as I did when I first went in. Even though I was prepared in that regard, it still just was as intense as the first time that I read it and wanting to know, like, what is going to happen next. So I would definitely say that was a win for me in rereading it and still just enjoying it as much. I would give it a 4 stars. Like, I think the first time I read, I gave it a 4 stars, but I almost want to give it a 5 stars for the second reread because I really did enjoy it a lot more. Definitely still did not like those bullies though. Like, was still super upset about them, loved Noah just as much, and loved our main girl just as much. I just had such a heart for her and her story, and just, she's so compassionate and she's so caring, and you really see that like as the story progresses. And I mean, yes, I think sometimes she is a little bit, what is the word? Like, she should stand up for herself a little bit more. But I really do understand, like, how she makes these comparisons with the bullies in Alice in Wonderland, and how it does help her to cope with the bullying and not break down in front of them and feel like she'll make the situation worse. But there were times I'm like, I really, like, especially when things change, where I'm like, I wish you would say something, girl. You need to stick up for yourself. You totally are worth being stuck up for. And I mean that in a good way. So overall, I highly recommend Fairy Tale Battle Royale. It was such an enjoyable and wonderful read, especially if you like dark fantasy, if you like fairy tales, if you like a little bit of a darker adventure, like so not all the sunshine and rainbows, and if you really like a caring and awesome main character with some good side characters, I highly recommend it. It is a wonderful story, and I believe that this manga series is off of hiatus, and we are going to be getting, I believe it's volume 5 later this summer, or later this year, I mean, excuse me. Let me know, have you read Fairy Tale Battle Royale? Do you like reading dark fantasy? If so, what are some suggestions you would give? I would love to hear from you, friends. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thanks so much for watching. Bye!